Well, after a dramatic, grueling, long season, we now know the championship four. There are 4 drivers that will compete for a trophy next week at Phoenix. We cannot wait to be there. But first, we have to break down everything from Martinsville, which I learned today. My favorite crew chief, Steve Letarte, got his first and his last win as a crew chief here at the Paperclip. Alex Weaver joining you guys with Steve, who now I know why this is your favorite race.
Oh, I love it. Look, it did bookend my crew chiefing career, but it's, no one grows up other than Kyle Petty that racing at Daytona. You grow up racing at short tracks, local short tracks, and as a crew chief, you lean on engineering so many places you go, but here it's kind of about the setup and communication. And we were delivered just an amazing race. I had everything I needed, and really just a pretty badass performance by the 24 is really what it ended up to be. It felt like times of old. It felt like I was watching Jeff Gordon behind the wheel.
Every single year that we have had the penultimate race here to go into the championship, it has been a dramatic finish. We've had drama. We've been talking storylines going into Phoenix. It's given us something to talk about. He mentioned Kyle Petty. We are going to have Kyle Petty join us here in a minute on the show. But let's break down William Byron and this move that ultimately it punched his ticket to the championship for.
Yeah.
He gives a nice little, just a little bump to Ryan Blaney, but they were also 3 wide on the racetrack.
Yeah, I actually give the contact to Blaney. Blaney squeezed him because he knows, right, the 24 is coming with a head of steam. He squeezes him to the curb, which is exactly what Blaney should do.
Sure.
Byron cannonballs in there, which is exactly what he should do. I mean, this is Martinsville racing right here at its finest, to be quite honest. That's what we were looking for. Byron had the car to beat. He led over 300 laps. It was kind of a pit cycle that got the 24 behind the 12. And then during the green flag cycle, we had a wreck, which made it all very confusing. But in the end, those were the 2 cars that we thought were going to race for it. I would have loved to see the 11 of Hanlon being in the race because I thought he had a pretty good car. But I had everything I wanted out of the day.
Was this one of the 16th cautions that Carson Hocevar brought out today?
Well, Lee Diffie calls him the Hurricane. Well, I can tell you the Hurricane arrived in Martinsville. Because
goodness.
Between Daniel Suarez, you know what? I just hope I get an invite to the Spire Christmas party.
Yeah, no.
Because the new driver Suarez, current driver Hocevar, and current driver McDowell, the numbers of times the 3 of those guys hit each other, that's a lot.
If one of those cars were not the wrong side on the racetrack, it was an interesting day. Well, let's talk about the 27-year-old who punched his ticket. Obviously, the story of today, William Byron. This 24 is making his 3rd championship 4 appearance, all consecutive. He's such a student of this sport, but really dominating today. Wins the pole, wins all the stages, has most laps he's ever led at a racetrack in his career, gets a grandfather clock, and he gets to race another chance for his first championship. Yeah,
30th win for Hendrick Motorsports at Martinsville. It's a very special place for that organization. There's a lot of pressure coming. I think what impressed me most about William Byron and this 24 team, is what happened this round to derail them. That they didn't allow them to write the script on. And what I mean by that is a great car at Las Vegas that runs over the 10 coming to pit road. A good car at Talladega that spins out 500 yards before the start-finish line and loses 20-something points.
Sure.
And it's so easy in this sport that started all the way back in February in this emotional roller coaster to not be able to pick up the pieces and keep putting your best foot forward. It's easy to say.
Yeah.
I've had to do it. It is emotionally draining. And for this 24 team to circle this race, to use both last week's to prepare and this week leading into Martinsville to prepare, to win the pole, to be perfect on pit road. I mean, they didn't really have a misstep. The race got away from them. I don't even think really by choice. I understand why Rudy Fugle made the choices he did. But William Byron and Rudy, they have a tremendous amount of history together, 276 starts for Byron, 173 of them with Rudy Fugle. And I love how they communicate. It's a matter of fact, and it's very successful. And, William he's emerging, right? He's not driving. I said it on the broadcast, and this is awful to say, and I don't mean it this way, but I just see young William. Like I saw him race at Junior Motorsports, right?
Yeah.
He's not a kid. He's 27 years old, like 270-something starts, 15 wins. This makes 16. Like, man, he is a cold stone race car driver.
Yeah.
And what he did today at the biggest stage did it. I loved it.
Entered today 36 below the cut line. He was 5th in the playoff standings. It doesn't matter because his ticket is punched. Let's hear from the proud new owner of a grandfather clock.
Damn, I got a lot to say. Things have a way of working out, and God really tests your resilience a lot of times, and we've been tested, and just unbelievable. I'm out of breath. Thank you, fans, for coming out. Badass crowd. I watched my first NASCAR race up there just before start-finish line, and man, I am just so thankful, excited to see my family and just celebrate this one. We obviously go to Phoenix and just go try to kick ass there.
You mentioned all that you have been through and this team has been through, and you and I have talked about it. These playoffs have been frustrating for you guys. Have you ever been through more emotional swings in 10 weeks to get to this point?
No, I mean, you just work so hard. All these guys work so hard, and you put everything into Sundays, and sometimes you don't get anything in return, and that's been the last couple weeks, and honestly throughout the year we had some close calls, but yes, sometimes life is that way, but you just got to keep being resilient. And
yeah, so definitely has not come without testing this team.
No, and he said it the best, right? And I never thought of it that way, but he's right. You put so much into Sundays, and you are not guaranteed anything back.
Yeah.
And it can be, man, you know, the effort, it's hard.
You can almost bet a loss more so than a win.
Totally,
here.
absolutely. And it's just an emotional roller coaster. And look, I don't think I think it was Larson who said it couldn't have been a better day for Hendrick Motorsports.
Yeah.
They had a chance to get 2 drivers through, and they were able to keep Larson in on points and then get another driver in on the win.
Yeah, his 3rd win at Martinsville for William Byron. Let's bring in our friend Kyle Petty to react to old driver 24 winning this. It's pretty cool when you come to a racetrack for your very first race, and then you're winning your first ever elimination race to punch your ticket to the championship 4. What did you think of William Byron today, KP?
Yeah, and listen, I think, and Steve's pretty much said it all. I think it was very Gordon-esque as a driver. And when you look at it, you couldn't, and that's a huge compliment for William Byron. Let me say that. I'm not comparing him, but I'm just saying that's a compliment. But you know, so many things, and we were talking before this thing started. These last 2 weeks they ran good. They ran great at Vegas. They were in contention with 2 or 3 to go at Talladega. Those 2 moments would have broken a lesser team, would have broken a lesser organization. And there were teams that made the playoffs this year that those 2 races would have broken. They would not have come to Martinsville in this same situation that Rudy and William came in, with the same attitude, with the same drive. I thought what they did was phenomenal. And I want to go back to the past and Steve, you explained it perfect, but you know, it's one of those things. You come up out of the corner as Blaney and you see the 10 car, and it's like, should I stay behind him? Is he going to go down in the corner and give me the corner, or should I go ahead and pass? And in that moment of indecision, William Byron took the position. In that moment, William Byron moved to the inside, and when he moved to the inside, it was over with then. And Blaney knew it, and he had to give him room. And Blaney was very complimentary. He said, "Yeah, I would have took it too. I would have took it too." It was just one of those things. And Blaney, he said, you know, we gave it 100%. We had a great car. We just got beat by a better car and a better organization today. And that's kind of the way it was. It was a great Martinsville race as far as I was concerned. I've seen a million of them up there and seen Hendrick win a lot of them and saw my dad win a lot of them. And it's typical. The best car, the best driver, the best team won.
You know, KP, I feel like we got an old school weekend. And I mean that from the style of racing to even these 2 drivers right here on screen talking to one another, because you know, when I was a youngster in the garage, right, like, and it was Gordon and Earnhardt and Wallace, they would beat the living crap out of each other on the racetrack, but in a cordial manner where you know, they would still converse after the race, right? It's okay to despise one another behind the wheel and enjoy one another not behind the wheel. And I think that's what I got. It was a whole weekend of that, and really all 3 series. I know we don't talk a lot about trucks and Xfinity on here, but I thought that, and I'm going to give credit to the younger drivers, because I thought they set the tone on Friday night, which is like, this is how we're going to do it. Yeah. So you veterans on the Sunday side, don't act like a bunch of fools, because if we can do it at our new youthful ages, so I really think they got a whole full weekend of it.
Yeah, and listen, it's like I like to just refer to it as respect. I don't have to like you. I don't have to be your best friend, but I dang sure respect what you can do behind the wheel, in the car, with the car you're driving. And I think that's what we saw with Blaney and with Byron, the respect that they had for each other and that they have for each other as drivers, as Cup drivers. They may not be the best friends. They may be great friends. I don't know. But I'm just saying the respect, and that's a huge part of what I think the younger drivers, like you said, it started on Friday. Respect carried through at Martinsville. It was old school racing.
Also, so fun for us to witness short track racing with a little bump and run. I don't need you to dump a guy. Right, don't race disrespectfully. Just have a little fun, make some contact on a short track.
The sport needed it because this race is my favorite. And when we came here with this car for the first time, I was like, oh my goodness, what have we done? We have lost the magic.
Yeah.
They hauled the mail. They never slowed down. They ran right around the bottom. And I think there's been some changes to the car, some changes to the tire. I think the teams now have adapted a little bit. And what I saw today, I didn't think, oh, it's next-gen racing at Martinsville. I just looked out the window and goes, oh, damn, look, it's Martinsville. And that was really it for me, right? The curb still isn't the place you want to be. The second lane worked a little bit. You could hit a guy and move him out of the way, as Ryan Blaney did multiple times. I love the fact he didn't even hide, but he's like, I'm out of patience.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I like a guy that admits it.
I do not have patience for these
guys. I don't
guys.
have patience, right.
I'm gonna give you another old school piece that they had here. And back in the day, back in the 60s, back in the 70s, back in the 80s, all the way to the 90s, all the way almost to when we went to the COT and early 2000 stuff. Carson Hocevar picked up the mantle of the guy who just is going to cause every caution there is. But we've always had that at Martinsville. There's always been somebody.
It was 34 weeks of payback, and he had a long list, and they were like, I'm going to get a little piece today.
But we've always had, you come to Martinsville, there's always one guy's day in the barrel. One guy's day. He's going to get paid back. He's going to spin. He's going to get bumped. He's going to get jammed. And it was Carson's day to day. And they everything, like you said, maybe it's everything that went on all season. But those cautions, and you said it, Steve, you said it on the broadcast, those cautions changed the complexity of the race too. Mm-hmm. We saw, the long caution when they were trying to figure out the scoring, where everybody needed to be. However, it changed it. It wasn't just the end of stage 4 or 5 laps and let's race again. End of stage 4 or 5 laps.
Yeah.
That was old school racing when you start throwing cautions in like that.
We were around the beer to Dutch Inn away from being back in the mid-90s.
You got that right, baby. I'm headed to the Dutch Inn when I leave here.
Gosh. No, Carson Hocevar, I think he had an eagle on the hood of his car. It was flying backwards for 90% of the race.
So Jeff Burton pointed it out, and I didn't get the joke when it happened, but he had a casino sponsor, and on the bumper cover it said free spins. The best promotion ever. Free spins for everybody.
A lot of spins for Carson Hocevar. We've talked a little bit about Ryan Blaney. I want to talk more about Ryan a little bit later on in the show, but we have to break down our championship 4 because there are 4 drivers that the quest is not over. Now is go time. This is when you push and you make sure that you show up with Phoenix with the best equipment you've had all year long. So we've talked William Byron with the walk-off win in this elimination race, but his teammate Kyle Larson with the 5 will join him. 50% chance of Hendrick Motorsports taking the title. So what did you make of the 5? I know we have been on this show being like, what in the heck has happened to Kyle Larson?
So I said it in the pre-race. This is a week that I think if the 5 or the 20 made a mistake trying to win the race, then they lost complete focus of what happened today. I'll say this every time. The goal every single time you start a race car should be to win the trophy. Except I gave them a free pass this week because it was about a points race against one other team. And I thought the 5 of Kyle Larson did exactly that. All day long, he kept the 20 in sight. When he got behind the 20, he casually found his way back up. When he got in front of the 20, he didn't take undue risks to stay there. It was a very mature drive from the 5 car. And I think heading to Phoenix, we have everything that I need. We have a champ in the 5. We have a could be, should be, maybe will be champ in the 11. And we have 2 youngsters, right? Briscoe getting his first shot at Joe Gibbs and Byron coming back. So I think they're 4 deserving. Any of the 4 wins, I'm going to feel great about what the sport is as a representation, as a champion. But I think it's going to look a lot like today. I expect all 4 cars to be right there at the front.
Yeah, Kyle Larson finished in the top 6 in the last 7 races, but he also was the only driver to make the championship 4 off of points.
Which is so anti-Kyle Larson.
So anti-Kyle Larson.
Crazy. And let's just step back to today. He's in by 7, I think. And I think he's in by 7. He picked up 5 points on Bell in stage 1 and 1 point in stage 2. That's 6 points he picked up today to make that magic 7 number. If they were just head to head and everything went, I mean, it's not that way. So that was back to Steve's point. You got to give them a pass today. They were racing for points and they played it exactly right. I look at these 4 guys, and you throw in SVG and you throw in Bell, and they won like 60-some% of the races this year, just those 5 guys.
Yep.
If you're arguing about the system, then you've got to throw Bale into that mix, because Bale has been a car and a contender all year. He's the only guy that's not in that top 4 that has been a contender all year. At the same time, he had the same chance as the 5 car of Larson and the 24 of Byron to make it to this point. And they just weren't right at the right time and didn't capitalize when they needed to. They were hot at the beginning of the year. Remember when they put their name on the championship trophy when they won 3 in a row?
Yeah.
Pull that off. I remember that. Okay, so if we go all the way back to that, but I love grouping of drivers we have, and I love Denny Hamlin being right in the mix of it. And I think the 5 car, he's not my favorite going into there, just because of, like you said, he's got a lot of top 5 finishes and stuff. But I'm looking for the W. I'm looking for that guy to step up like these guys did today, like we saw Briscoe step up last week, like we saw Denny step up at Vegas. Those guys made statements going into Phoenix. Byron made a statement going into Phoenix today, and I've yet to see in these races, in these last 3 or 4 races, I just haven't seen Larson make a statement or that team make a statement.
Yeah, 3rd championship 4 appearance for Kyle Larson. He's obviously the 2021 Cup champion, so going for his 2nd title here. Let's hear from driver KL in number 5 after today's race.
Well, I just, a couple times I just wanted to stay green, and then, the 77 was in like every caution tonight. So I just, restarts, I felt, good about my car on restarts, but you just never know how the aggression's going to pick up, and, everybody's give a shit factor goes out the window there. So, but we had good enough track position all day. We were kind of out of the, mess, I guess. And yeah, that was good. So my HendrickCars.com Chevy was fast. Our pit crew was on it all night. And what a performance by William. That's awesome. I thought when the 12 gained control of the race, it was going to be, really hard for anybody to beat him. But, William did a great job on the restarts and just kept positioning himself, and then was good enough to get by him on that long run. And then, I was surprised on the restart there. The 2 tires were as good as they were. So happy for him, happy for our team, happy for Hendrick Motorsports. This win as good as it, could have for us, for us to score more points than Christopher and then have, William or Chase win too. So glad, we can give Mr. H an opportunity next week, and hopefully, one of us can win it. But yeah, I'm proud of everybody at Hendrick Motorsports. I feel like we've been just progressing so much throughout the playoffs, and to put 2 cars in the championship 4 is awesome. So thanks everybody there. Thanks Chevrolet, everybody, Valvoline, everyone who's a part of this team, and we'll see if we can go be a few spots better next week.
You love when a driver mentions I'm saying it in nice words, the give a crap factor goes out the window.
Oh, no, listen, if he can give a shit off NBC, we can get it over here on YouTube. I'll say it.
I can't. My mom's watching.
I'll say it. I'll say it.
I'm with
right, when you sneak a cuss word on NBC, you kind of move up my rank a little bit. I'm like, good for you, Kyle
William
Larson.
Byron got 3.
Oh yeah, well,
3
race winner gets a free pass, right? Like, yeah.
He gets 3 in there.
Hey, I want to say something that he mentioned right
it.
there. And I want to go back. He mentioned, the Hendrick organization, all that stuff. I want to give a shout out to, but before we get too far deep into this thing, to Blaney's pit crew and the Williams pit crew on that last. That's a pressure-filled moment right there. Yeah. They come down. Blaney closed the gap. They come down nose to tail. They stop. They go out the same way. No loose wheels, no runs, no drips, no errors. They got it done, and you got to give these guys. And, Steve, you said it. It's time for them to step up. This is that moment they want to be there. They want that pressure. Put it on my shoulders. Let me do it. And both these teams did it, and it kept the race the way the race was. It was not one on pit road. It was one on the racetrack with these guys still going head-to-head, and I appreciate that. And I wanted to give a shout-out to the pit crews just for that, because we've blamed them so much during the playoffs because we've seen so many missteps and misfortunes.
Well, I get a bunch of flack from the fans, but it's not intramural football. Like, this is it. Like, I don't have empathy when the human doesn't perform. I can't have empathy and feel about that person's emotion. Like, it's sport. This is real life, but it's still only sport, right? Yeah. Like this isn't really the issues that most people have to deal with in the world, right? We're still trying to win a race. So for that reason, I'm going to judge you as such, right? It's not intramural football. We're not playing high school football. These are professional athletes that are paid as such. So therefore, I judge drivers that way and pit crew members that way. And I'm with you. This is like the kicker. Be like, hey, you're up. Don't mess it. Because if you miss it, they're all going to boo you. And yet,
there's somebody waiting to take your spot.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And yet they
Always.
stepped up and they did it. So I agree with you, KP. What I loved, I think that's another good thing, is what we didn't see today was somebody fail. We saw somebody succeed, and I think that makes it better for me. I think everybody brought their best, and somebody's best won.
Yeah. Yep. Well, a driver that didn't make the championship 4, which surprised me because, as everybody in their interview has mentioned it, when we saw the 12 out front at Martinsville, it was like, oh, here we go. Ryan Blaney getting another grandfather clock. He's going to get a walk-off win into the championship 4. He finished second, led 177 laps, his most in a race this season, came up 1 position short to advance to the championship 4. After winning this race the last 2 years, obviously we've all been here, watched Ryan Blaney punch his ticket to the championship 4. So KP, a championship 4 without the 12. Can we handle it this year?
We're going to have to. Listen, without Penske's been there every year. I'm going to tell you, that I thought his drive today may have been one of his best ever. And I said the same thing after last year's race. But to come from where your weekend starts, and Steve knows this, especially in this day and time, when you come to the green for qualifying, that's when the race starts. And you show them what you've got. We saw William Byron put it on the stop, and we saw where the 12 of Ryan Blaney started. And he had to overcome that. And he spent the first segment and part of getting that back. But they overcame it. And, I looked at that and I thought, man, that was phenomenal. I would have never believed he could have driven through the pack the way he drove through the pack like that. But, he was gracious. It is one of those things where, listen, and like Steve said, it's a professional sport. And you can empathize with these guys a little bit, but you got to go out and get it done. They went out and got it done. They just got beat today by a team that got it done a little bit better. You can't find any fault in anything this team or this driver did all day long, but yet they come up second. And when you come up second like that, it's a little bit easier to take than if it was a pit road mishap or something else happened to you. It's a little bit easier to take.
Well, and I will say that I needed an organic, clean, no BS race between what we had last year, what we've heard in sports all week with the damn NBA news and all the stupid stuff. Like, I wanted to just believe that this garage area could just go race. Like, could just go push and shove and beat and bang and agree to disagree and let it all happen on the racetrack. And I didn't know. Like, I'll be honest, I heard all the stories and NASCAR's warnings, but I've worked in the garage before, and I'm like, man, like, is everybody really hearing them? And it was important for me personally as a race fan that they did. And what I saw out the window today was what I would buy a ticket for that. I think that's the thing. When I look out the window and I see the thousands of race fans that came to Martinsville, spent their hard-earned money to buy a ticket, a Coke, and some hot dogs. Like, we owe a race to those fans. And that's what they got. They don't have to be good races, but they have to be real. And what I saw today was real, both good and bad. It was a real challenge for some, and it was real entertaining for others.
As Ryan Blaney and Jonathan Hassler will go back, they'll regroup. Obviously, they're going to go to Phoenix next week at a track that Team Penske has dominated in recent years. So I know a win is on their mind for next week, whether it's a championship trophy they're hoisting or not. But you hang your hat on this season, yes or no? Oh,
absolutely. I believe any year you make the playoffs and go probably to the round of 8. I don't want to say so I wouldn't have said it was a successful year maybe 8 years ago, but I feel that the garage is so deep with talent that it's hard to figure you're going to get to 4, right? Like, I tell people all the time, right? When I switched over to Dale Earnhardt Jr. and somebody said, well, he should run in the top 10. And I said, I agree, but let's just remind everybody what that means. I started listing the drivers you have to outrun to be in the top 10. Like, all right, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, it's easy to throw these numbers around. So to say you're going to be in the championship 4, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to just start throwing some names out there. You have to outrun those people. So I almost start looking now with the depth of the field as the new championship 4 to me is making the round of 8, right? Yeah. Now, look, you want to be more, you want to be a champion. Yeah. But I think you make the round of 8, you've won races, and you came here and you ran second, right? Yeah. Like when I look at it, I don't know if anybody floundered in this round. There was some wrecks, there was some unfortunate situations, but I thought the 8 delivered.
KP, the old Letarte over here is glass half full. Look at him. Another week in a row we get it.
Yeah, but I want to ask you this, Steve. I mean, and we've seen Blaney come in here for the last 2 years. This would have been 3 in a row.
Yeah.
2 years in a row was unthinkable, that you could come into the last race in the last round of the playoffs to be able to move forward. But he's done it 2 years. To think he could do it 3, that's almost insurmountable odds. I mean, having that, have you ever seen a team perform in that big race at that moment, that time? I mean,
it reminds me of
unheard
Harvick
of a number of years ago.
Right. Harvick was the closer, and Harvick found that way. Ronnie Childers and Harvick kind of kept cycling to the front. But I think, if I'm Jonathan Hassler and Ryan Blaney, not something we're going to discuss now, but when we start looking forward, we start turning the page next January, I have this race circled, and I would be like, hey, here's our goal, to go there and not have to win.
Yes.
Like, I know we've done it 2 out of 3 times, but our goal is to find our way to the round of 8, got to make the playoffs, score enough playoff points, but our goal is to just be able to be in the points conversation, right? Like, let's not go there pushed into a corner.
Not have Vegas happen.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Not that I really
point.
it's easy to say, but that would be kind of the goal.
Let's look at the
and
rest.
Look, he's going to be Papa Blaney when he comes back, right? Because
of course.
him and his wife, they're expecting to have a child here in the coming months. So
motivation when you have a kid to make it back to victory lane and win a championship. He already told me that the baby wasn't going to be here in time to put it into the trophy at Phoenix this year. So I already know what Blaney, he wants to put the baby in the trophy at Miami when we're racing there next year.
Baby in the corner, you can't put baby in the trophy.
That's good. Well played. Well played.
Let's break down the rest of the drivers that missed out on their chance to run for a championship. Right below Kyle Larson, obviously it was a battle between these two all day long, the 5 and the 20. KP, Christopher Bell misses the championship for the second year in a row.
Yeah, and that's just, for me, it's unbelievable. Because I felt like I have felt this season that he and Denny were the most consistent, got more looks at wins, ran up front more, put themselves in position more to score stage points, to score wins. It just felt that way. And I just felt like it was a lock. So coming out of Talladega and coming out of Vegas and seeing him on that border and having to go into this race just like he did last year, at least he didn't have to stand on pit road and go back and forth for 20 minutes to figure out whether he was in or out. This year, he was just out. But phenomenal season. And I'm telling you, he just continues to get better and better and better. And it's got to be just crushing. It's got to be crushing personally, and for he and Adam both, because I think they felt like they get me to Phoenix and we can win a championship. We can make this happen this year. We know we can. And now they're on the outside looking in. So for that team, that's got to be a crushing blow. But at the same time, they're that team too that's going to go to Phoenix and kick your butt 6 ways from Sunday to say, if I was in this 4, this is what you were going to have to deal with.
I think it hurts heart more too when 2 of your teammates are in.
I was just going to say,
the
19 getting in did not help.
Yeah, I mean, Bell got Briscoed, right? Like, Briscoe took his spot.
And
that's not a knock on anyone, but there's only 4 seats at the table. You can't bring all your friends. Yeah. Somebody has to not be there. And it took an amazing drive from Byron. It's I feel better about this. I did feel bad for Christopher last year because of everything that went on in this race. And this year, I mean, I obviously feel bad the poor guy didn't make it, but I'm like, man, you just wasn't good enough. That's okay. Yeah. I think, it's going to sting, but I think eventually he'll admit that, where last year there was a lot of other stuff. Here it's just like, hey, man, here's the system. You weren't good enough the right time of the year.
And we talk about it all the time. We talk about it all the time and always have as it comes down to this one race. But if you just scored a couple of more points in Vegas, or give me a little bit extra at Talladega in this round, then we're not in this situation. If you just win a few more races during the regular season, then we're not in this situation. So even though it comes down to this one Martinsville race and this one time we say, this guy knocked this guy out and this happened here, it's really, we could go back to the 4th race of the year in Atlanta or Vegas and say, this is really where the downfall started. This is really the points that he needed at this given time. But they just didn't perform today that much better, enough better than the 5 car. And when those stage points got away from them, they were in trouble coming into the last segment.
I do think it's crazy to think that in the green-white checker, the car that ran out of gas and the car that got wrecked at Talladega, the 2 that somehow made it through at Martinsville. Because I was like, man, that's going to be one heck of a overtime finish for those 2 cars if they don't make it.
Yeah, KP, to your point, 8 more points throughout the season would have had Christopher Bell in the championship for. That's all it would have taken.
Listen, I say it all the time. If I'd have been like 8 inches taller, I'd have been an NBA player instead of talking to you about racing. So you see, it all comes down to those small numbers.
I love it. Okay, now let's keep going. In the 6th place, finishing this season, was the 22 of Joey Logano.
Look, I thought Joey had as good a regular season as they come. Actually, I thought they were really good today. I thought they were better than I was going to give him credit for. This is not known as one of Joey's better racetracks. I thought he was at least in the mix. It's the same old story that I think that Joey Logano finds a way to win races that you don't expect him to, championships that you didn't have him chosen for, and you're not going to always get there. And I think Joey and Paul Wolf are just as tough next week as they would have been in the championship 4, and they he's the utmost professional.
KP?
Yeah. I think it's 2025. Come back and talk to me next year on an even year.
That's true. That's so true. The 22 cannot win on an odd number year.
That's the way. I mean, it just seems to play out that way. But when Blaney had speed, they lacked speed. There were races this year. That you thought, my gosh, what has happened to this 22 team? They struggled at some of these racetracks. And I'm not talking about struggled to 12th or 13th. They struggled to run 25th and 26th during the course of the day. Now, they would salvage a 12th or 13th out of it, which was just fascinating me. But they just didn't have the speed. They never found the speed that Blaney found this year. And they were just so inconsistent that, I wouldn't.
Now, listen, can you imagine if he finds it? Can you imagine if the blue-collar battle of Paul Wolf and Joey Logano has the raw speed of Ryan Blaney? Wow. Because if that ever does line up, and if that's even possible, I don't know if those two ions can connect.
Good luck.
But if those two ions connect, that would be a vicious combination.
Yeah, a vicious combination, because that is, and I said it. I said, you get Joey Logano if somehow he made it in this round to get to Phoenix. It's only fitting that Halloween is next week, because it's everybody's worst nightmare for Joey to have some momentum going into that last race. Yeah, you know what I mean? But it was not to be this year.
Is that teasing your Halloween costume? Are you going to be Joey Logano for Halloween, KP? Please do it.
I am. I'm going to the Good Feet store and get me some of those insoles and some of that stuff. And anything that sponsors Joey, I'm going to wear for Halloween. Yeah. That's it. 8 more
inches and he'd have been an NBA player, folks. Don't forget it. And then last but not least, Chase Elliott. He finished 3rd today, had such a strong car in practice. He was the fastest on Saturday. My first gripe about this team, and I have said it all year, is their Achilles heel has been qualifying.
It really has. Their Achilles heel is like, I don't know, they're just really, really good and solid and just not flashy enough. In a flashy format, they're not flashy enough. Yeah. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's just, if you said, hey, I need one car that's going to run in the top 8 at these 9 different racetracks, I'd be like, I'll take Chase Elliott. But if you said, but I need 2 wins, I'm like, oh, no, if I need 2 wins, he's probably not on my list. And I look, even one point today, they say, hey, Chase, what do you need in the radio? I was like, I can't complain. Like, he was good. I really thought before the week even started, Stat Guy Russell was going to strangle me, because he goes, what's going to happen? And I didn't have William Byron. My crystal ball didn't have William Byron being what he did today. I said, man, this is going to be a Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin show. The left side tires are going to wear. And those 3 are the artists at Tire Conservation, and it's going to be an absolute showdown of those 3 in the closing laps. And I thought, even after practice, I felt pretty good about it. I was like, Byron's a little better than I thought, but the other 3 are still going to be there. And I thought Chase, he gave me everything. I believe if Chase got control of the race today somehow, he would have been really hard to beat. He just could never find control of the race.
Yeah. Yeah, I go back to when he won the championship, go back to when he won all the road courses and everything. There was, and I was just thinking it, Steve, when you said it, there was a spark to him. There was something there, an intangible that you just.
A little dazzle. They had a little dazzle.
That's right. You couldn't put your finger on it, but it was something special. There was something special about the way he drove, the way he walked in the garage area, and now he comes, it's like getting ready to practice, it's like, oh, there's Chase. He's already in the car. You don't even know he's there. And then when the race is over with, he's had a solid finish, but you don't even know he's there. And that spark needs to come back.
So I don't know 2 ways, though, KP. I think that Chase, I don't think this car, in the style of driving, the really over-driving the corner because the diffuser makes downforce, not to get into all the dorky stuff that makes it happen. The style of driving really suits, I think, like a Chastain, like an overdrive and entry, things like that. I don't think that's natural for Chase. He said he's had to relearn. Now, look, you take a guy who's as good as Chase and kind of find a new pitch, right? If you're a fastball pitcher, he's found a curve late in his career to try to figure that out. I think is impressive. And I haven't given up hope that he won't take that next step with it. But it just doesn't feel natural, right? Like I feel like he's driving it as it should be driven, not like how he wants to drive it. And I don't know if those will ever connect. I believe this car continues to develop every year. So I don't wonder if it's still out there for the 9. Like it wouldn't shock me that they find the correct knob or the correct feel for him. But it seems like a guy who is taking a car that doesn't suit him and is so good at what he does. It's like he went from being right-handed to left-handed.
Yeah.
And he's so good that he could be professional left-handed, even though he's a natural righty. There's something there. Something's just a smidge off.
Yeah, no, and that's a great analogy. Is when he was younger, he was a fastball pitcher. Now he needs to learn how to pitch, and he just needs to have more pitches in his repertoire because you know what he can do. And I think that's his Achilles heel right now too. Is other drivers know what he can do. And they take advantage of that. They take advantage of it getting in the corner. They take advantage of it on the outside. They take advantage of it at different places in the racetrack. It's just when you drive a race car, it's just like, and you hear it when you watch Major League Baseball, they'll say, well, the book on this batter is this. He doesn't like them high and inside or whatever. There's a book on every driver you race against. You keep it in your head. You know where you can get around him. You know what you can do to him. You know what you can't do to him. And I think Chase's book has changed in recent years. And that's a great analogy with this car.
KP, when you watch him as a driver and you know this track really well, you've grown up with this track, racing it and with your family, he's finished in the top 4 in the last 4 Martinsville races. What does he need to do to break through and make it to victory lane?
He needs that spark. It's an intangible. I mean, so I can't tell you.
It's not skill he needs.
Yeah, no. He has the skill set. He has the skill set. He has the car. He has everything. But I think he's got to find, just as Steve said, what's that line of getting in the corner? What's that line of letting it roll, trailing the brake, getting in the corner, putting enough wheel in it, whatever that may be. He's still learning. And like Steve said, as this car changes, these two lines may intersect, what he's looking for and where the car is. And when it intersects, he's going to blow him up at Martinsville because he gets around just like this. They tell the story all the time, of Jeff and how good Jeff Gordon is there and how he kind of taught Jimmy, and Jimmy looked at his data and said, okay, I'll do it that way. And when he started doing it that way, then Jimmy understood it. And Jimmy developed that feel, although that was not Jimmy's natural feel for that racetrack. And I think Chase is the same way. Once he sees where it's at, or he develops what he's looking for, once he latches onto it, I just think he's lost a little bit of that feel with this car. Just as Steve said, that was a great way to put it.
All right, KP. Well, I'm the Kyle Petty charity ride. I'm taking the Riding Across America from you because you're going to ride across America and join us live in Phoenix next week. So we're excited to see you at the championship. And we'll crown a winner with you next Sunday.
Okay. Listen, I am pumped up to be in Phoenix. It's a lot better for me to be wrong about things on site than it is to be virtual wrong about things. You know what I mean? I like it. So I'm looking forward to coming out there with you guys.
We'll see you next week in the Jewel of the Desert.
See you, KP.
All right, let's break down the final 2 that are going to make up our championship 4 because they have obviously the first one to lock in, Denny Hamlin, and then we had Chase Briscoe who locked in last week at an exciting win at Talladega. But let's break down Denny. 6 wins this season, 44 years old, and you want to talk about a spark. I know there's been a lot going on with Denny, the owner, Denny, the driver, a lot of side noise and distractions going on for him. Had a new baby this year. Denny has something this year that I haven't seen from Denny.
Yeah, I agree. It's
in a positive way.
It's hard to believe that somebody at 44 could be at the top of his game, and he really is. Look, if there's an emotional favorite, I don't have a dog in the fight. I think they're all very deserving. Just because of his years left available, I would love to see Denny Hamlin do it.
Yeah.
And all I will say as a caveat is if he's unable to do it, I hope he is unable to do it on his own accord. I hope it's not a pit stop or a mechanical gremlin. We saw throttle at Talladega, broken engine today. Like all I want Denny Hamlin to be delivered is to be on the front row or the front 2 rows of the final restart with a car that should or could be able to win the championship. I just want to see him and his talents on display.
Yeah.
If we can have that, then I'll feel great about it, even if he comes up short. What would really hurt me for Denny is if he goes there and it's a flat tire or a broken rotor or an engine or a pit crew. You know, I feel like he's earned the right to have that. And look, and if you don't like Denny Hamlin, you could totally disagree. That's fine. But he's done too much in the sport for too long to just not have a shot. And that's what I would say. I feel the same way. Look, I feel the same way about Kyle Busch. Like, he was my sneaky pick to run well here.
Me too.
Like, I'm waiting I want Kyle Busch to have that Jeff Gordon wins Martinsville moment. Or I want Kyle Busch one more time at least to stand there on the front stretch and remind himself how great he was.
I agree.
And I think for Denny Hamlin, he's kind of there. He's at his peak. And I think to be at your peak, I'd love to see him at least have a chance, like I said, of his own accord. I
am also sick and tired of hearing every single season, number one question that everybody wants to talk about is Denny Hamlin going to finally get a championship? Why hasn't Denny Hamlin won a championship yet? I just want to stop talking about it.
Yeah.
I want him to have a championship to where he's already a Hall of Famer in everybody's book that knows the sport. First ballot, without a doubt, in my mind as well. So I just want the championship to stop making folks question how good Denny Hamlin is. But lap 335, he loses an engine. He's out of the race. Would that worry you for next week?
So the engine, not as much. Briscoe the same way. I'm sure there's more to the story than we know. You know, they're already it's funny that the two cars locked in broke engines, right? So
on the plane to Phoenix.
Yeah, it just seems a little odd to me. It's not that. It is the car won't fire for qualifying. Talladega, it has a throttle sticking. Kansas, it has a power steering issue.
Multiple issues.
Like there's a lot of mechanical gremlins circling this 11 car.
Yeah.
It's impossible for me to put my finger on it. I guarantee there are hundreds of men and women that are way more concerned about it than we are. But it's just, when there's smoke, there's fire. And this car has some mechanical gremlins, and I don't know why, but it is odd. And that would have me nervous.
Doesn't that feel good to kick your feet up and not have to worry about
I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of great things about working in the television side.
That's exactly right.
But I will tell you, so Jeff Gordon and I went to Kansas early in the playoffs, and we broke a fuel pump push rod and a mechanical fuel pump. That part doesn't break. It doesn't exist. It just sits there forever and runs. And I know that the fans aren't going to remember this day, and it doesn't really matter, but I will tell you it was it emotionally crushing because the people that were in charge of that engine are the best in the business in my mind at that time. And yet we couldn't have done anything else, and we were out.
Yeah.
And that is the part that it's hard to recover from.
Yeah. Well,
when you mess it up, I would rather look in the mirror and be like, I messed it up. I'd rather stand in front of my team and be like, I made a mistake.
Yeah, I agree.
But when it gets taken from you, man, it's crushing.
I agree. Denny Hamlin making his 5th Championship 4 appearance. His best championship finish was second runner-up in 2010. He only needs one more spot to get a championship. Let's hear from driver 11.
I felt like the car was coming to us. I know what you're asking, but I felt like we're in a good spot there. We just started to close back in on Blaney. Felt good about it. Got the track position we needed, and I don't know. Feel bad for King Swine. I'm not sure we finished a race so far with these guys, but man, hated for them. And yeah, I didn't feel anything. I just the engine was running and then not. No noises, no sounds, no indication, anything like that. It just I decelled into turn 1 and the engine just shut off, and that was it. So. They'll work on it, I guess, and we'll go try to get them next week.
How concerned are you about mechanical gremlins going into next week?
I mean, I'm obviously concerned, but there's obviously nothing I can do about it. So we're just going to have to live with it, and hopefully, we get lucky next week. And, I think we're just going to have to see how it goes. But, I'm confident on speed. We'll be good next week. Really confident in what this team's going to bring next week, and we'll bring our best. Hopefully it lasts.
Bring your best. Hopefully it lasts.
Yeah, he said it the best. I'm going to take that line. The engine was running, then it wasn't. That's some prop. I'm going to tell you. You wait.
Top 10 analysis.
So what do you think happened up there, Steve Wells? You see what happened is the engine was running and then it wasn't.
Steve and I both have tears in our eyes.
Yeah. It's even Denny. It's not comical, but he's like, sometimes you laugh because you want to cry.
Yeah, I know.
And you're like, hey, man, I'm going to put on a good face because And I think some of this is his perspective as an owner. I know that sounds crazy, but like he has to look Reddick and Bubba Wallace in the face when something goes wrong with those cars, and he knows, man, that's on me as the owner. So I think he then has an appreciation that Coach wants this. Like Coach doesn't want this thing to break. So so like I said, he doesn't have to win it for me, but if he doesn't win it, I want it to be decided, with the drivers. I don't want it to be a mechanical thing.
Yeah, I agree. He obviously has had 2 weeks to prepare that team. They locked in at Las Vegas. His first Championship 4 appearance for his crew chief, Chris Gale. So I know it'll be an emotional win if he wins, not only because you get a Hall of Famer, his first ever championship that, man, he's been trying for so many years, but it'll be a big week for Denny Hamlin. Last but certainly not least, he won at Talladega last week, the 19 of Chase Briscoe. My surprise of the season, not because I don't have faith in Chase Briscoe, the driver, but brand new organization, brand new manufacturer, and a championship 4 berth.
I think that this is the most valuable championship 4 berth because I think Chase is going to rocket into superstardom. I think he's so fast behind the wheel. He's learning what it's like to race at Joe Gibbs Racing. He's matched up with a partner and a sponsor with Johnny Morris. They feel like they've been buddies forever when you see him walking around the garage area. James Small and Chase are like the odd couple. They're like demeanors couldn't be any different. James is fiery and this, and Chase is just kind of laid back. And I just feel like Chase is a race car driver who just, he idolizes AJ Foyt's and Tony Stewart's. Yeah. And I think he can't imagine he's one of them. And you just wonder if this year's proving it to him. And say he goes there and outruns Denny Hamlin in equal equipment and wins a championship. Like is this the fuse that lights a 30, 40, 50 win career? I mean, he can do it. So I don't know. Like, he's there. It's impressive. It's so good. It's funny. Like I have to remind myself it's not Truex behind the wheel.
Yeah,
like it's the same color, same number, same this. So every once in a while I have to, make sure I'm like Barisco. I can't get the Truex name out of my mind because he's like Truex X. Like he's just stepped right in.
Yeah, for sure. I think we have sound from Chase Briscoe. Can we hear from our last driver of the championship 4? I think.
Did you lie to me? The interview, I can give you the interview because they asked the question. He goes, I can't hear what you said, but the engine broke.
That's right.
That was the interview.
That's why we don't have the interview. Parker Kligerman, it was obviously very loud mid-race.
Then he went to the media center. That was nice.
Yeah, lap 217 pit stop. The team had trouble getting the right front lug nut off for Chase Briscoe.
So it's funny. They what happens is.
Does that worry you?
I think that's more of a Martinsville thing. I think you can over-tighten it on Hot Wheels.
Okay.
Listen, everything worries me. That's why I do TV.
Let me tell you, that 19 team on pit road and championship race.
Oh, tires on backwards, and we've done it all.
Let's figure that one out.
Yeah, so look, the right front wheel wouldn't come off, so they go over. They actually do a really nice job. They go over and they get the heavy-duty gun like you're changing an aircraft tire, and that thing will take any lug nut off. And they do a nice job of not stripping the nut where it couldn't be removed. They manage the situation.
Well, championship 4, we are officially locked. We know the 4 drivers that are racing for a championship, and they come from 2 powerhouse teams, Joe Gibbs Racing versus
And we get it all. We get practice on Friday.
We get it all.
Extended practice, 3 sets of tires, go out there, dial it in, no excuses, qualifying on Saturday. It's
We're in
everything.
Phoenix for a week, folks.
Oh, I'm telling you, it's going to be amazing.
A whole week.
I love it.
Preview Phoenix as a championship race. We saw it in the spring, obviously. We know what we've got in
it's a
past
Rubik's
years,
Cube of just disaster. 1 and 2 is flat and sweeping. 3 and 4 is banked. The front stretch has this awkward dog leg. The tires should have a little bit more fall off. One of the longest pit roads we go to, which has a curve in it. It kind of has everything I'm looking for. So I'm a big believer that the championship race should rotate. I love the market of Phoenix, and I think it's a great race. I don't think we should go there every year. I can't wait to go to Miami next year. Yeah. Look, I think we could race here for the championship. I think we could go to a bunch of different venues, right? And I think the race fan deserves the rotation. But Phoenix, as a market, it's a big-time market. It hosts Super Bowls.
Huge sports city.
When we land at the commercial airport, it'll have all the signage. It'll be ready to go. Yeah. So it kind of has everything I'm looking for. And the fact that Penske's not in it makes it way harder for me to handicap. It's Chevy versus Toyota. It's Coach versus Mr. Hendrick. It's it's the Yankees versus the Red Sox. I mean, it's really what it is.
Just from what you've seen, take the drivers out of it. Just from what you've seen of the organizations this year, is there a favorite? Is there one that it's more so?
So I'm just going to use that style of track. Blaney won New Hampshire, so he would have been the favorite there.
Yeah.
If you go back to Iowa, which is kind of in that realm, that was William Byron.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'd be leaning Hendrick, but I think we're going to get a real tell on Friday. I'll be honest. I think what makes it good is I think heads up right now unloading. It's a dead heat.
Yeah.
Dead heat across.
How important is Saturday qualifying for these folks? Listen,
so you only have to win the race, or you only have to be the best finisher, which doesn't even win the race. So it's not stage points. It's not that. But I will tell you, it's a bit of a sprint.
Yeah.
So I don't think you have to go win the pole. I don't want to make it like if you win the pole, you're guaranteed in. That's not it. I do think the number one pit stall is of huge value because we've seen it figured out on pit road. These 4 guys will kind of pick early, so all have good stalls. You just have to not lose it on Friday or Saturday. You can't go to a backup car. You don't want to qualify 35th. You want if you're one of the 4 and you go have a good practice, qualify top 10, that's good. Race from there.
There you have it.
Easy
as that. That's all you have to do to win a championship, the NASCAR Cup Series. Have a perfect Sunday next Sunday. Well, we'll be joining you out at Phoenix Raceway. We cannot wait to get out west. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be like 88 degrees on race day. What more could you want? Just sweating out there as we race for a championship. You're not going to want to miss it. Inside the Race, we'll have all your content. We also will be with the championship drivers this week in studio.
She's lifting. I nothing for me this week.
I am excited.
You got the 4 drivers.
To sit down with the 4 of them, hear their thoughts. Obviously, we know the 4 officially. So we'll see during the week to preview everything Championship 4. And then Steve Letarte and I will be joining you out at Phoenix on Sunday to crown a champion for the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed Martinsville.